Well, welcome back to the S.H.O.T cast, and we are here in deer camp this week in South Alabama. And me and Matt have been here all week, and we've got a special guest that's joined us in camp this week, and that would be Mr. Trent Ellis from Mississippi. Many of you know him from his social media presence and all the comedy he does and skits. And I will go ahead and tell you we have had a great week this week, so we've had a good time. I always say if you want to find out about somebody, spend a week in deer camp with them, and you'll find out about them and figure them out pretty quick. And Trent's just like he's one of us. I think actually on the podcast you did with Stagner, he said he talked to you for the first half hour. It was like somebody you've known all your life.
Yeah. I met Justin and right there on his front porch, and we just immediately, there was like no awkward pauses or hey, how you doing, buddy, or anything. It was just like just straight into the stuff. Like, man, y'all, I like your place around here. I can see you got some trailer trash just like we got here at the house. That white trash, baby. Let's go. So it was good.
Yeah, and that's the same way here. It's been that way here this week, just like you've always been a part of the camp. So you figure somebody out pretty quick when you spend time with them, and this has been a great week for us. I hope you've enjoyed yourself.
I have.
We've eat good.
We have.
We killed a couple deer. The weather hadn't cooperated. The weather's been crazy this year. We've had everything from drought to hurricanes and record snowfall, and just then as soon as it was 11 degrees last week, now it's 75.
Well, hold on. Before we get too deep into the weather and deer hunting and all that, you said food and we've ate good. I will have to say Matt has changed me completely on the taco meat. Okay, for all of you out there that are big, beef taco people, just like me and my wife are, and my whole family, Matt went to the Piggly Wiggly down here and paid $4.94 for some chicken thighs, and I don't know if I want a beef taco anymore. Like it's chicken or bust. So man, I appreciate you, brother.
You're welcome. So Matt, tell us real quick about your recipe. And this is when we go on vacation, family vacation. Each one of us takes a night. I take a night, Mama takes a night, Jonathan takes a night, Matthew takes a night, and then we'll eat out a couple times. So he's got this chicken, Mexican chicken recipe that he found, and like Trent said, it's off the chain. We look forward to dinner every time he's cooking. So just real quick, tell them basically what it is.
Well, long story short, I met a guy at youth camp. I help out with youth camp sometimes, and his name's Juan, and he cooks for weddings, and he cooks for the people of the church. He just loves to cook. He doesn't do it for anything but the joy of it, and he's from Houston, Texas, and he's a Texican, and he showed me all the ropes. And
it's Hispanic.
Yeah.
To be honest.
He's Hispanic,
politically
yeah.
correct.
So but it's got lime. You make your own.
He showed me all the seasonings to use, all the chili powder, all the garlic powder, all that stuff.
It's not your normal throw some old El Paso taco seasoning and some ground beef and eat it.
It's none of that. No,
yeah, it's off the chain good, and Trent fell in love with it right off the bat. So
but yeah, Juan showed me how to make them, and it's been I've been using that same thing ever since. So.
Yeah, I believe if we'd have had more chicken thigh meat left over, Trent would have foundered himself.
Yeah, I was not appropriate last night. I didn't have any manners. Like, I totally went back for seconds, and that second burrito that I made or taco that I made was 1.5 times bigger than the first. But
yeah, I noticed that. I picked up on that.
I want to tell you, I'm not sorry either. I don't feel bad at all. Okay,
I don't blame you. Not at all. Not at
all.
No. But we've had a good time this week, and but for those of y'all that may not have known about Trent before, he'll tell you about his social media channels. He'll tell you about all the things that he does. But we'd like to give you a chance to meet him and let him tell you how he got started. Like I said, I'll just let him go through and tell you where he's from and how all this came about, and then we're going to move into some deer stories, deer hunting. We're going to move into that and move into some turkey hunting because turkey season's right around the corner.
It's coming up.
You are a fellow brother when it comes to thunder chicken, so we're going to get after them. So anyway, introduce yourself. Let everybody know who you are.
Well, like you said, Trent Ellis. I'm from Northeast Mississippi, and from a very small town most people don't even know about. It's called Manatee. My wife couldn't. I had to tell my wife 6 times what it was before she could even say it, which I never really get that with people. You know, if you're speaking the same language, you grow up speaking it, you don't have to ask. It's insulting, when they, now what is it? Manatee? Yeah, what Wenatchee? What are you saying? So anyway,
And real quick, we have that back at home. We have Steenhatchee, the fishing village.
all right. So one more time.
Steenhatchee.
Okay, Steenhatchee.
But it's
See,
spelled-
it should only be asked a maximum 2 times to repeat yourself.
But everybody that comes down there wants to call it Steinhatchee.
Yeah.
They want to call it because it's Stein. And so they don't know how to pronounce it, and you have to give it to them many, many times before they finally figure it out. So I understand what you're saying.
Is this one of those places that the Nazis fled to back after World War II?
It was a rough environment, but it's quickly becoming another coastal Florida town. It's old still, but it's it won't be that way much longer.
Okay,
There's
gotcha.
some big money moving in there. So.
Big money moving in.
Or old money.
Old money's moving in,
Okay.
especially out of Georgia.
Yeah, there we go. Well, yeah. So I'm from Manatee, Mississippi, and grew up. I think just like y'all and everybody else did. You know, you grew up in a small town. Your teachers that teach you taught you mama and daddy, and you kind of go to school, and you know that pre-K through 6th grade when the parents talk to the teachers, it's, hey, if he acts up, you whoop him, then holler at me. When he gets home, he'll get it again.
We knew it.
And so that kind of town and that kind of environment, loved it. And graduated high school in 2013, joined the Marine Corps. Met my wife in California where I was stationed out there. Well, let me back up because we are talking about hunting and everything. I grew up hunting.
Yeah.
I grew up from 9 years old. Killed my first deer with my brother. My dad never hunted, and my dad really never took us hunting or anything. But his brother, my Uncle Sean, you know, he was the hunter.
Yeah.
So
And he took time to take your brother.
He did.
And then that fell to you. So I know you're like the rest of us. You had somebody that took time to take you.
Yep.
And that's a big deal because that's what we're about.
Yeah.
So
and they didn't, you know, have time necessarily to take me every single week or every weekend. Me growing up from 9 to probably 15 years old might be I'm getting a deer hunt maybe 3 times a year. Maybe.
And you look forward to every one of them.
And every single one of it. And but I knew when I was young that I was going to hunt for the rest of my life and love it, because when I was 8 years old, my brother pulled up in the driveway. And this was, like I said, I didn't hunt before I was 9. I don't know why. They just wouldn't let me. But he pulled up in the driveway, and I knew he had been hunting that evening, and he didn't come in. And I used to get really emotional when Trey would kill a deer before I could go hunting, because I couldn't go hunt. I wanted to hunt so bad, and he would come up with a deer. And he didn't come inside, and I'm like, what in the world's going on? All right, whatever. And it was 5 minutes later, I saw my Uncle Sean's truck pull up. And I'm like, what the heck is what is Sean doing here? And I go out there, and they're propped up on the tailgate right there talking, looking in the bed of the truck, and I knew Trey's killed a deer. So I go over there, and it's a little basket rack, 8-point, nothing to it, you know. And immediately I just run in the house, start bawling my eyes out, crying. Mom's got to come in there and console me. It'll be okay. You'll get your time. No, I won't. I hate it. This is so stupid, you know. So, but yeah. So I grew up hunting and everything, and playing sports, and was the class clown from day one. I got 39 paddlings my 8th grade year.
Are you serious?
Not exaggerating. Yep.
39.
39. Yep.
I got one my entire school experience.
Well, see, what happened was K through 6th at Manatee, if you got a paddling, they sent a note home. And so I could not get in trouble, like, bad enough to get a note sent home. And that's pretty much all they did. Was like, if they spanked you, they sent you a note home. And so in 7th grade, I'll never forget, this one dude, he got held back a couple of times. He was a couple of years older than everybody else, and he smarted off to the teacher, and she said, go out in the hall. And we're like, ooh, okay. Austin finna get whipped. And she gets out in the hall with him, and she goes down there and gets one of the coaches, and he comes over and paddles him and everything, and then the boy just walks right back in the room, you know, and she goes back to teaching. And we talked about it later, and I'm like, do they not send notes home anymore? and they're like, no, dude, this is junior high. They just whoop you and you go back to class. I'm like, game on. It's time to start my comedy career. So 7th grade, I warmed up, and then 8th grade, yeah, I mean, I had my Spanish teacher, Miss Miller, God bless her soul. I gave that woman all kinds of hell. Honestly, I was terrible to her, and I wasn't disrespectful. I don't think it was. I like to talk. I like to make people laugh, and I would do anything to try to make my classmates laugh. And once I got up to like 5 or 6 or 7 paddlings within the first month, I was like, let's see how far we can take this, baby. And I got between Miss Miller, Coach Logue, Coach Hamilton. I think those 3 I got 39, and probably 30 something were from Miss Miller.
They imprinted their names in your brain because they put that board on your behind.
Yeah.
So
hey, she might not admit this, but I would ask her after like 25. I would ask her. She'd come in and she'd be kind of ill or whatever. I don't know. Just life, I guess. And I'd be like, you want to go out and haul, Miss Miller, and handle some business. She's like, yeah, Trent, let's just go out there and handle that real quick. So, but yeah. So
Good Lord.
Always been a class clown, man, and kind of settled down towards the end of high school there. I'd say, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, but come from a real Christian family, come from a great mother, a great father, good brother, great brother. I really downplayed him. He's all right. He used to kill deer before me, so,
he's going to have to pay for that the rest of his life.
Yeah, he's going to pay for that.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, then, get out of school, join the Marine Corps at 17, do 4 years in that, met my wife in California. She was just living out there. Everybody asked me, so did she Marine too? And I'm like, no, she was just living out there from Washington State, moved with like 10 of her people to San Diego, Oceanside, and like 10 of us within a 3-year period from Manatee joined the Marine Corps was out stationed on the West Coast.
And somehow you got this West Coast lady to marry you, and you moved her to Manatee, Mississippi.
Well, I told Bree, I said, listen, I've been gone for 4 years, and I said, I am going to die in Mississippi. I said, I can't hunt nothing out here. All my family's back there. And I told her, I said, look, honey, if you can't do that, then we just need to go on. And Bree, she was, of course she knew. She's like, I'm going to introduce him to the West, and we'll work on it. Sure, yeah, that's fine. But no, we got married 2017, the year I got out, and June 3rd, 2017, and moved her back to Mississippi with me, and we've been there ever since. So got a little
How did
boy.
she adjust?
At first, dude, it was terrible because we got married June 3rd, and we come back like June 7th, and it's like in the South, June's not bad, but you have bad moments.
It's the humidity.
But you still have pockets of time to where it's really not bad. So
in northern Mississippi, you do, not in North Florida or South Alabama.
Right. Well, this was when we come back. It was like middle of the day, 65 degrees, feeling good. Mosquitoes were staying low, and we get out of the car, and she's like, well, this, because she only been there in November the year before. And she's like, well, this ain't bad. And I'm like, honey, just wait.
Hold on.
And so that whole next year, she's like, this is awful. We have got to get back out west. Like, what are we doing here? So I convinced her. To stay through college. Oh, and at that same house, that first house we lived in on the Lake Bud Isaiah, we had 2 snakes, one in our house, in our bedroom, under the dresser. I killed it with a shovel and brought it in there to the shower with her, and she about killed me over that. And then we had one on the front porch about a week later. Both of them baby copperheads. So
now let me get this straight though. You moved her into a house and not a a single wide or a double wide?
No, it was a concrete. It was a block house.
You did
600 square foot, but
you
it
did
was
her
a
right.
house,
You did her right
know?
by that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the single wide, double wide. We in one
No.
right now, but it's if you're coming from the West Coast and you're coming to Mississippi, and
Yeah.
you helped her with that.
Yeah, and I know plenty of people in houses on drugs. I say trailer trash because it's funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean that's part of it. If you get offended at that, like it's
just part of it.
yeah. But now, so we moved from the Bud, and we moved down to Starkville. I think that's right. Yeah, we moved down to Starkville and went to Mississippi State for a couple of years and graduated there. Lived in old deer camp, one that would the commode would back up into the bathtub.
Oh yeah.
So if you used the bathroom, I mean, when they pulled the septic tank was a 55-gallon drum.
Yep. Had one.
Yeah. So you know how quick
Oh,
them
yeah.
things fill up if you live in there full time.
Oh yeah.
And
You don't stand in the shower while somebody's going to the bathroom.
no.
'Cause
And
you
when
get
you
dirty
go to the
feet.
bathroom, yeah, it's like when you go to the bathroom, you need to have a thing of bleach right there beside you,
Yep.
just so when you flush, you can just pour it down the tub because that's how close it was.
That's right.
And yeah, so we were roughing it, and she got pregnant by me, of course. I will say that she got pregnant in August. I won't say it was August of 2021. She come out and told me, and we wasn't trying. I mean, we were active, but we were not trying to get pregnant. We were just, not. I guess we weren't anyway.
You
Doesn't
weren't
matter.
you weren't playing defense.
No,
There you
no. But anyway, I kind of got thinking about that and got sidetracked.
I bet you did.
Yeah.
Especially after being here all week.
Yeah, I know it. I know it. But she got pregnant during that fall, and at that time I was making probably $1,500 a month, and I was the only income. I mean, we were, and we had rent, we had bills, we had just like everybody else. And now she's like, I'm pregnant, so we ended up fast forward, and I had to get it on the job and trying to make as much money as I could and save up, and we ended up graduating that next May, and we closed. She's 8.5 months pregnant. We closed on our house in Fulton, same Etowah County, same county as Manatee. We ended up closing on our house that we live in now, June 3rd on our anniversary of 2022. My son was born June 16th, 13 days later.
That was a busy stretch. Graduating college, buying houses, having kids, all in just bam, bam, bam.
And then that next year, so I worked in finance, started in finance in 2020. It's kind of all over the place. I apologize, y'all.
No, it's good. This is good.
But I worked in finance from 2020 to present time now. And I was working at a school. I was trying to go to a school to set up a 403B, and I wasn't having any luck. In 2022, I got Etowah County's school district's 403B there, and I want to say it was the summer of 23. I drove, miles and miles and miles all over North Mississippi trying to, get school districts to allow me to come in there and be an additional investment option for my 403B, which is very common, very common.
Sure.
But it's also very political and all that stuff. And as you can imagine, I'm not very political.
And you got a wife and a child, and it's 2023, and you're saying, I got to figure this out.
Yeah,
quick.
yeah. And so I had that 2023. I didn't have any districts bite, and
which was encouraging.
Very, very, yeah. And I didn't have hardly any new money coming in, and for investment volume, and just got real slow. And I was out of school, and none of the teachers were coming by to talk to me and everything. Which is, that's their prerogative.
Sure.
And that's if you're in any kind of insurance or investment business or anything. Most businesses, regardless, they take 5 to 7 years before you get to
That's right.
before you get really going.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I was 3 years into it. So so anyway, I was while I was at that school, I saw a video clip of Justin Nunley. Y'all know who that guy is?
Mm-hmm.
I had never seen him before. And I saw a podcast clip of him talking about him making $25K a month in 2022. And I'm like, dude, I don't even know who this cat is. And a year ago, he was making $250,000 a year off his social media stuff. And the wheels got to turning, and I thought, and that's one thing Primerica had taught me, was to be persistent.
Yep.
And to just persevere, just don't quit. It coupled by my raising, by the Marine Corps, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, what do I have to lose?
Exactly.
I was like, if I fail, I'm going to have some folks laugh at me and point fingers. But that's literally as worse as it gets. That's as bad as it gets.
That's it.
So,
well, I told you last night, we were talking about some stuff, and I said, look, I can deal with failure.
yeah,
What I can't deal with is not trying.
exactly.
And so my whole life's been built around that. My business life, everything that I do is including my faith. If I'm, why not even try?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to try.
Yeah.
Failure, people fail.
Yeah.
But I just can't live with the idea of not trying.
Yeah.
I can't deal with that.
Well,
So
Daddy always told us that most men die when they're 40 and they're buried at 80.
that's exactly right.
And
I know a little something about that.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we all will as men, because there's things that that I haven't done, that I already regret, that's passed me up, that I know I can't do anymore, and it's one of those things that I have to go to my grave regretting.
Well, as a licensed funeral director working with families, I can't tell how many times I've heard that story.
Yeah,
They something happens, and it affects a man in a way or a woman in a way that they just stop living, and they exist for another period of time, but they just don't live anymore.
right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So I'm very familiar with that in serving people and helping families through times like that. I've seen that happen, and I said, I don't want to be that person.
yeah,
I want to take advantage of every day I've got.
yeah,
So that comes back to, again, your faith has a big part to do with that. But anyway, you're middle summer of 23, you got this exposure, and now you're saying, what have I got to lose? Somebody may laugh at me, and then you take it from there.
August 24th, I downloaded TikTok, and I told my wife, I said, I'm gonna put up 2 videos a day. Did no research. I didn't know how to get monetized. I didn't know anything about time to posting frequency. I just did a little bit, and then I was like, I'm a very action oriented guy.
I was going to say,
I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna figure it out on the way.
You're like my business partner, and I think Cuz Strickland calls it a trigger puller.
Yeah,
you're going to just, here's the idea. Okay, let's just go.
Let's go.
Let's don't stop. See, I'm the guy that stops and researches and does.
Yeah,
and
no,
you
we ain't got time for
you
that.
guys typically do better than I do because I take too long to get things going.
Well, we tear up a lot of stuff too, metaphorically and literally. So the pauses that you take probably save you a lot of money and heartache. And we're sitting over a chain smoking cigarettes going, dadgum, I tell you what, boy, this is rough. But now, so yeah, I just said, I told my wife, I said, I'm going to download 2 videos a day for a week. And if I don't hate it, I'm going to keep going. And she's like, Trent, you've talked crap on people that do this. We have talked crap on men that do this. This is kind of, you don't respect people that do this. And I really don't either. And I'm like, well, honey, if I'm making $10,000 a month, you think you can find a way to respect me? And she said, well, yeah, if you're making $10,000 a month, okay. And I'm like, all right, so let's try it. And I did it, and we started getting good feedback from people. Didn't blow up or anything like that, but just started getting good feedback from the community, and that kind of fueled to the drive to just keep going.
Yeah.
And after, I want to say it was 40 days, I was monetized on TikTok, which at the time, that was 10,000 followers, 100,000 views in at least in the past 30 days at least. and you have to be 18 or older. So in that 40 days, I had gotten 10,000 followers, I think. I want to say. That might be wrong. Anyway. And I had gotten my likes. I got monetized and everything. And you know, we kept going and just went from there. And just all I've tried to do since then is I've slowed down. I go to 6 videos a week instead of, 2 or 3 a day. And I've incorporated long form into, with YouTube. But, I just try to say, hey, we got 6 videos a week. Try to do 1 video of long form to add to that, and let the Lord do what he wants to do with it.
Did you also find out that once you started getting some feedback and things kind of started picking up a little bit, that the spouse's attitude changed just a little bit, and all of a sudden
I wanted to become a life coach or a career coach all of a sudden.
Editing coach and content coach.
Yeah. I wanted to tell me, that I need to do this or do that.
I think all of us have that same experience.
It's like they're scared. They're scared of you failing, but once they see that you're not, they're like, all right, now I can give I need to give my 2 cents on how you need to run this.
You don't need to say that. That don't look right. That's not a good angle for you. You need to. We all know about that.
I got to be honest though, man. Like, she did very minimal of that. Bree has been phenomenal with just everything. I mean, she lets me hunt whenever I want to. She don't complain about. She's called me 3 times. I've been here. I've been here 4 days.
Yep.
And she does every now and then. She'll say, I think you should do this, or I think you should do that. But the biggest thing was that she just said she wasn't gonna be able to respect me, and now she's like, if I don't get all my videos done on Monday, she's like, what are you doing?
What are you waiting on?
What are you waiting on? Me and Arlen are outside. We're trying to get out of your way. You need to get to work. All right, get them videos done.
And you're incorporating her into them now. That's really cool. I like that. No, it's the same way. My wife's been very supportive and very patient, which I don't do nearly as much as you do, but it's all the hunting and everything that goes with it. I mean, she's been very patient, so I appreciate the same thing. But I think that's just a universal thing around the bunch. So anyway, you started, and you started August 23. You started uploading videos. Next thing you know, I mean, you're pushing what, close to 1 million followers now total?
I think so.
I mean, and it's just been a whirlwind year and a half.
It has.
But
I'm living my dream.
So
life.
outside of the the other things that go, because there's negative that goes along with it. You got some keyboard warriors that are nuts, to be honest with you. But
yeah,
I was going to ask you about, because I've had nothing as far as the social media stuff that you've had. I don't do nearly as much as you do, but I've been able to meet some people that just floored me, and I wanted to give you a chance. Who have you been able to meet through this process that you never thought you would ever, or just a surprise to you, I guess is what I'm trying to say?
Well, the first podcast I ever did was Fistful of Dirt with Cuz Strickland.
Me and you both. That's where the same thing happened, yeah. When
he reached out to me, I'd seen him follow me, and then he reached out to me, and then he shared some stuff, and I'm like, what is going on?
Yes.
I've had people, golly, him. I'm trying to sit here and think. I just did a podcast with Justin Stagner.
Mm-hmm.
I've had Michael Waddell comment on some stuff. T-Bone comment on some stuff. And man, Michael Waddell, I grew up. That was my hunting, idol. The first time, I will never forget the first Michael Waddell video I ever watched. And I can remember watching and being like, this dude is so cool. Is when he was deer hunting, and this is back when the only way that you could watch deer videos was going to Walmart, going to the hunting section, and buying the DVDs
every July.
And so I don't remember what it was on, but it may have been like Real Tree Road Trips or something. But he was hunting somewhere, hunting for big deer, and a coyote come out, and he sat there and I'm like, this dude, what is he doing? And coyote come up there and he shot it, and he said, He said he looked in the camera and he said, "We come out here to hunt deer, but today we predator hunting." And I'm like, "That's my guy right there. I can watch somebody like that." So I hadn't gotten to meet him yet, but having him comment on my stuff, and I've had several people that are famous that follow me or comment on my stuff. But
Right.
I'd say meeting. Of course, when you ask somebody like this on the spot, they
Yeah, sure.
crap the bed.
Well, the point being
but-
is, and not even famous people. You've had people like myself, different ones, reach out to you, and you've had experiences. You've had all kind of things that you wouldn't have had. You'd have never been in the hunt camp this week if you hadn't started.
And got to sit across and listen to Mr. Eddie Salter.
That's what I was going to say, and I want to say this, Eddie. I met him on his one of his. He does a charity church hunt every year.
Yeah.
Here in this county, and so I met him. That was 11 years ago, and he's the one that actually inspired me to even think about doing anything with a public presence.
Yeah.
Anything on social media or podcast or talking in front of groups.
Yeah.
Because he's a master at it.
Yeah.
Eddie is just amazing. He's a born dirt poor in the backwoods of Conecuh County, Alabama. Became a barber. Had turkeys in this area, and he took an interest in them when he was a young kid. And if he'd been born hardly anywhere else, there wouldn't have been any turkeys. There wasn't any turkeys back then in the country. And he ended up, but he is a masterful speaker. If you watch him speak to a crowd, or of course he's been all over the television shows and all everything. And he's the one that really said, when I got to meet Eddie and realized just how normal of a guy he is.
Right.
Who's an exceptional turkey hunter, he's in the World Hall of Fame. He's in all these different things. NWTF Hall of Fame, Legends of the Outdoors Hall of Fame. And this guy is just a normal guy.
Yeah.
But he does one thing really, really well. 2-time world champion, all that stuff from this little old backwoods community, and learned how to talk in front of a camera, learned how to talk in front of a crowd, and he commands an audience when he gets in front of it. So just like you said, to be able to sit down and just have a one-on-one conversation with him in a hunting camp, not at a show or somewhere else. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But it's, all that happens as a result of you deciding, hey, I'm going to give it a try.
Well, and probably the best thing that's come from this in the last year and a half is I have met some people that I have gotten really close to that do not pay me a dime.
Exactly.
That I get no money from. I get no product or anything like that from. It's like, but I mean, it's just I met some people, for instance, I mean, Mark Williams with How to Barbecue Right with those guys.
Yeah.
That Joker and me, we FaceTime like every day.
Yeah.
Kind of sounds weird. It is, but he's married, so it's fine. But yeah, to a woman. But yeah, we'll be going over there and hanging out with them March the 1st in Senatobia,
Yep.
and shooting content over there with them with for Buck Junkies, Swine Life, How to Barbecue Right, and but I've just gotten to meet really, really good like-minded people,
Right.
and social media has allowed and I would say probably it's kind of nerve-wracking when you start because
it's very
one of my other
nerve-wracking.
good friends that I got to meet, Corey Lear with Monarch Hunting Products, he sells blinds and feeders in Texas, and he's the guy you want to buy from because he's just like us. He's a good Christian guy, but his word is his bond. And when he texts me on TikTok, he's one of those guys who wears flat bill hat and he's muscled up and wears tight shirts. I was like, who's this douchebag?
Right.
I was like, who? No. But when I talked to him on the phone, because he invited me out to Texas to hunt, to do an MLD doe hunt and shoot hogs and everything, and I was like, well, that sounds pretty dang good. I need to holler at this guy and just see if he's halfway normal. I got on the phone with him and I got off the phone and I told Bree, I said, I think this guy's all right. But y'all ain't good, because he invited me and my family, and I'm like, no, I don't know you, bud. I said, I'm gonna come out there before my family. He's like, I get it, and
I'm gonna
and
vet
everything.
you.
And now, he's one of those guys I call every week, and my family, me, Bree, and Arlen, we're going to be out in Texas again. We've been out there. I've been out there 3 times since, but we'll be going out there again at the end of February to do the same thing, and my son is going to get to play with his kids.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been so cool meeting you guys, and it's just been a blessing, honestly.
And all of that, if you'd have never tried, if you'd have never made the effort, would have never happened.
Oh yeah.
So that's all the point of it.
Yeah.
And you're well on your way to doing some, which has already been huge, but it who knows where it ends.
Yeah.
Where's the story end? So that's awesome. We found out this week, again, being in camp with somebody, you learn pretty quick about them, their character, and all the different things. We figured out pretty quick you were a deer hunter. I mean, we didn't have to tell you but once, here's where this stand is, here's that stand, and you're able to go and handle it. I mean, we don't have to take you by the hand, which if you're in that level, that's not a problem, but you're a hunter. So just give us your favorite way to hunt. What's your favorite thing to do, your favorite place, your favorite method? How do you like to deer hunt? What really drives you when it comes to that?
If I am, my favorite way to hunt, what do you mean
Well,
by
I mean,
that?
do you like to bow hunt, rifle hunt?
When it's in season.
Yeah.
So when it's in season, I'm bow hunting.
Right.
If I can have a gun in my hand, I want a gun.
Gotcha.
I've already started to tweak just a little bit onto the bow hunting side, just more, because that's another couple of guys I got to meet up in South Dakota that I've gotten pretty close to. Corey Jonas and Foster Bartholow out of South Dakota. They have a channel called Prestige Outdoors, not worldwide, from Step Brothers, yeah, but Prestige Outdoors. And you talking about some dang turkey content, brother? Let me tell you, that's the best you'll see on YouTube. Best quality. Anyway, I went out there and I killed my first out of state deer with Corey, and he was in a lock on. I'm gonna pick on him. He was wearing a darn saddle, sitting in a lock on. That tell you, that's Corey.
So that's a lock saddle on.
Yeah, yeah. A tree diaper with a big platform. So, as Mark would say. So we're sitting there and he's filming me and everything, and I got to kill my first 10-point buck, first bow deer that I've shot at over 30 yards. I shot at 40 yards. First out of state deer. And shooting that deer out of state, shooting that deer at 40 yards, it did something.
Yep.
It just did something. It's like, man, I got to do this more.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm not full like Matt. I've already seen. Like I've told him, I've told him a couple times, like, dude, you need to get out there with a gun. He's like, I just I got
Gotta have the bow in the hand.
gotta have my bow. So he's die hard. But I love going out there on public and chasing them. That's primarily what I've done for the last 5 or 6 years. Before that, growing up, I hunted small tracts of private that, 30 acres that my daddy owned or 40 acres on my papaws. But I love going out there and chasing birds, chasing deer on public.
Yeah.
And if I'm doing that, I'm out of the saddle. And Matt will be too here next season.
Yes, he will. That
Sold
was
on
one
the
thing
saddle.
you demonstrated, that saddle, and I'm gonna give Matt a chance. It kind of wowed me, but I didn't realize. You look at it and you think you kind of see it all, but until it's fully demonstrated, you don't realize all the possibilities. So, how did you feel about when you saw and he put you in a tree with one, let you do it?
Well, it can be kind of daunting at first when you look at all the setups and all that stuff. There's a bunch of different ways to do it, but I've had 2 other people tell me and swear by it. I've just never. It's a pretty big investment. It's a little more than just a tree stand or something like that.
Yeah.
But he was nice enough to take me out there and show me it, and he has the exact saddle that I was already looking at getting, and it's
Tethered ultralock.
Yeah, tethered ultralock.
Yeah, throw that in there.
Yeah,
he uses the 1 stick method, so that's arguably harder than just running 4 sticks up the tree. So even like the hardest way to climb the tree was pretty dang easy. And
The whole rappelling down thing,
the
I had
whole-
no idea.
you can rappel down the tree. You can have a bunch of sets. I feel like it's a little quicker and quieter than a climber.
It is quicker and
And,
quieter than a climber.
The fact that you can just shimmy up a tree with a lot, how much does the whole setup weigh with one stick? The platform and the vest, probably 4 pounds, 5
What
pounds.
the snacks that you got in your backpack's
Yeah,
gonna
it's
weigh
heavier
more
than
Yeah.
that whole setup. So that's pretty dang.
And being able to use the tree to conceal you is another thing that I knew that you did that, but it's just impressive. So I think you're on your way to making that investment.
Oh yeah, and that just the range it gives you is a lot more than just a regular tree stand. So for somebody who bow hunts a lot, I think it's going to be totally worth it.
Yeah.
This next season,
So
that's for sure.
you're basically whatever's in season, but you're kind of leaning towards more bow hunting and public land and out of a saddle. That's really deer hunting I'm talking about.
Well, but say here, I'm a hybrid. I consider myself a hybrid. I mean, I'm redheaded and I can get a tan. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
But I love going. And Corey was nice enough to get me one of those Monarch blinds. I love going and sitting in that thing behind the house.
Yeah.
You know, I shot I'm telling you, I'm a hybrid. I shot
get
a
it.
crossbow this year. I missed him with a compound out of the shoot house at the corn feeder, which that's controversial enough. Like you hunting on private with a corn feeder and a $5,000 shoot. Boy, you ain't worth nothing. Well, I'll add one to it. I missed him, and then the next day I went back and shot him with a crossbow at 50. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I've shot, but I also shot this year. I shot I shot 2 bucks under a corn feeder. I shot one with at 25 yards from my compound out of the saddle, and I shot one in South Dakota at 40 yards with my bow out of the saddle. And but the last 3 hunts I've been in a ladder stand with you, or not with you, just me on this property, on y'all's place with a gun. So I like to do it all. You know what I mean?
So let me ask you a question. How many places have you hunted? Like, because we lease land right next to this little small parcel we own, and we work it all year long. Mm-hmm. So how many places have you hunted where the management is like it is here as far as the habitat management?
Not many. I'd have to sit here and think if there's anything that I've hunted that's close. I hunted a buddy of mine in South Mississippi, and they do a good job managing, keeping deer fed, cutting and all that kind of stuff.
Food plots and
all
the work that goes into it. Is it easy?
Lord, no.
That's what people don't realize. These big bucks are smart. They get old for a reason. It doesn't matter where you're hunting. They get old for a reason.
Yeah.
And so these deer, especially in South Alabama, are crazy anyway. And Matt's been battling one for 2 years, and that hammer knocker busted him last night because he did something he should have never done. But the wind was so still last night that didn't help either. But anyway, it's just one of those things where it's what you want to do, and everybody has kind of a range of things they like. But there's one thing that you key in on. Like for me, I think in Matt's too, I like to work a piece of property and set it up and do all the effort and do all that. And then I like to kind of target, a couple of deer.
Yeah.
And really get after those couple of deer with my bow and make it happen. But, I'm just as content to go to public and sit there with a rifle and a climber.
Well, it's just,
but there's just that one thing that kind of really drives me all year long. I think about,
it's different. I mean, you're not going out there to public, and there's guys that do it, that's what's in right now. If you're a guy that goes out there on public and you're targeting big deer and you're being successful, you're the best hunter in the room. But it's also pretty doggone difficult to buy a place or lease a place, farm it up, and and get in there with a bow like you're saying. Because anybody can build a lone food plot and sight their gun in at 200 yards,
exactly.
get out of the stand and just corn that one place up to death.
Yeah,
you're gonna get. But especially going in there with a bow, it's hard to kill those mature deer, those 4-year-olds and older. But knowing a place on private, knowing your farm, your property, and patterning those deer and those big deer, okay? And I'm not talking about 2-year-olds or 1-year-old or whatever, but those big deer, and being able to go in there year after year after year and harvest them with a bow is also extremely impressive. And
Well, people don't realize, they think a bow hunt only place, and I've seen this on more than one place. A bow hunt only place, they think, well, the deer aren't pressured,
yeah,
so they're easier to kill. It's actually the opposite,
yeah,
because when you set up for rifle hunting on a piece of property, you set up back 100, 150, 200 yards.
yeah,
And when you're bow hunting, you've got to set up to kill them at 20 to 30. Well, what happens is the does in particular get exposed to a lot of hunters quick, and they figure out what a tree stand is, they figure out how setups work, they figure out, and they get educated,
yeah,
and they educate their youngins,
yeah,
the yearlings, and you end up with multi-generational deer that ain't coming to a food plot, a feeder, or anything else unless they can get downwind of it
yeah,
and get a good big circle and slip in there. I've seen so many times where the wind would be dead wrong for a stand we had that somebody had hunted once or twice before, and deer be piling in there, eating all day, all morning. I mean, just piling in there. Wind shifts so you can finally get in that stand, and not a single deer come in there because they can't get down. Like, I'll be next to a bluff or something,
yeah,
where they can't get around you.
right,
They ain't coming. They'll avoid the whole thing. They won't even come in there. They won't come to the edge of it. They won't do nothing. I've seen that happen on this place I don't know how many times. So anyway, but we're about ready to get into turkey season, and we found out you're a big turkey hunter.
oh yeah,
Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm excited. Heck yeah.
I don't think about turkeys all that much during the year. I do think about them, but when you get to the end of deer season, that switch flips, and you're just, I don't know how it happens, but you get fired up.
Yeah.
I can't hardly stand it.
Well, if turkey didn't gobble and drum, I wouldn't care for it.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That's
I
true.
mean, but when we watched those videos the other night on your channel, I mean, that whole, just hearing those birds in the distance, you don't even see them on the video, but good Lord, ow, ow, you're just like, oh man, when is March gonna get here?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, and turkey hunting, they say like 1 out of every 3 deer hunters is a turkey hunter or something like that, which I ain't worried about that, but I tell you, at that time of year, spring, you think you'd be wore out after deer season, but man, it's just, if you're a turkey hunter, you get it. I mean,
yeah,
every spring is just magical.
Well, it's a completely different type of hunting. You get to really interact with the animal a little more.
Yes.
Than deer, and if they could smell,
you'd never
you
kill
wouldn't
one.
kill a single one of them. And that's the thing I love about it, is like, you don't have to worry about. You can kind of quit worrying so much about the scent, which got me last night, and you can kind of worry just about calling to them and finding where they're at, and it's the closest thing we got in the southeast to like elk hunting out west.
That's right.
You can watch them and call to them and interact with them and all that stuff. And that's what's so appealing about it to me.
And the thing about turkeys are going to make you look stupid most of the time. But
so
then
when it all comes together, it's glorious.
It ain't nothing like it.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing like it.
Yeah.
The turkeys are the most, from the time that they're born, something is after them.
Yeah.
Something's after them from above, something after them from on the ground, something's after them before they're even hatched. Stuff's after them.
Yeah.
And they can't fly for the first couple weeks. And, I mean, when they live to be old enough to be a 2-year-old gobbler, or especially if they get to be a 3-year-old gobbler, you better bring your A game if you're going to kill him.
Yeah.
Because he's seen it and heard it all.
Yeah.
Especially on public. He's seen and heard it all. And, I mean, it's just crazy how smart they are. And then all of a sudden, it's just like maybe one morning, one of them wakes up and just decides to play dumb. And they'll do the dumbest thing you'll ever see. But most of the time, you're going to have to work to kill him. and they're gonna make you look bad more times than not.
Yeah. I love how like as men especially, we get so prideful. And I say we 'cause me. I'm talking about when I kill a turkey or a deer, it could be whatever. I find something to be like, man, yeah. Like I called one off hens. One off like 10 or 12 hens.
Look at what I did.
Guarantee you.
Look at what I did.
Yeah. I guarantee you if I went up there to NWTF and tried to call in a calling competition, I'd get booed and laughed off stage. So it was not my calling. It was like you said, that bird just decided to not go to class that day. You know what I mean?
Well, if you took every man in the country and you bottled up all of his testosterone for 11 months.
Yeah.
And then you just turned him loose with a year's worth of testosterone, what would society look like?
Yeah, that's why we're where we are right now. It's women's fault. That's what it is. Okay.
But you take all of that pent up aggression and you turn it loose for 2 or 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Yeah.
You're gonna get a dummy every now and then.
That's right. That's the ones I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I'm looking for the ones that got off the short bus. You hear what I'm telling you?
Oh yeah, me too.
I want them.
I love those guys that they try to. All they want to do is kill big, mature gobblers. I got hunted with a guy one time that was looking at their spurs with binoculars before he'd shoot them, and hey, if that's the way he wants to hunt, fine. My favorite gobbler is a 2-year-old that's gobbling and coming and on a string.
Yeah.
And spitting and drumming and carrying on. I want when he gets in gun range, he ain't getting out unless I miss him.
Let me tell you something. And if these folks watch my stuff, they understand by now.
They just that little black speck in the middle of the screen.
Yeah. If I could hunt them with a scope, I would. Not really, but I don't care. Like there's so many people worried about how you hunt and what you video to what everybody's going to say because you're not using the most primitive or it's too primitive or it's this or it's that. And Steve, to be honest, I don't care.
Is it legal?
As long as I'm legal,
ethical?
And I am not doing anything that would put a kid in danger. Okay, I'm gonna do what I want to do, and y'all are too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Well,
everybody is.
Here's my thing: is it legal? Is it ethical?
Yeah.
Meaning that when I say ethical, are you doing things the right way?
Yeah.
The right way meaning that number one, are you being true to yourself?
Yeah.
And the number 3 thing is it good for the animal and the resource? If you're killing too many. That in other words, you're not being legal,
right?
And you're killing too many, or you're doing something that ain't. Maybe you're hunting them over feeders, which some states you can do that, but you can't do it in most states.
Yeah.
But if you're in Alabama and you're hunting turkeys under a corn feeder, that's not even close to being legal.
Right.
And is it ethical? Are you treating the bird and the habitat right?
Right.
That in other words, are you a conservationist?
Right.
Because somebody passed it on to you.
Right.
So now you got the responsibility to pass it down to somebody else in as good as or better condition than you received it.
Right.
If you're selfish and you're just doing things for you so you can put another picture on social media, then that's not the kind of person that I want to be around a whole lot. I want to be around the guy that loves it, does it his way, and it keeps it legal and ethical and respects the resource. You do that, and me and you going to get along all day long.
Yeah.
My point is, you do you. But don't criticize me when I do it legally, ethically, and responsibly and think I'm going to listen to anything you got to say.
Yeah.
I mean.
Well, that's what I'm saying about, that's where I got the pride stuff from as far as guys, because, the way that I hunt, the way that I structure my content is, if a bird comes out there at 40 yards or 50 yards, I'm going to pop him.
Yes.
Especially now, if he's charging in, I'm going to let him get as close as possible. But if he's fanned out and he starts turning, I'm going to pop him.
Yeah.
And, because that makes me happy.
Exactly.
And it's legal. And, But you got a lot of folks that with that topic that you ain't a real turkey hunter if you don't get it within 30 yards or 25, and that's fine. If
they want to do it,
I think I'll eventually be that way. I think one of these days I will have killed so many birds and so many deer that the only deer I shoot will be 4 years or older, and the only birds I shoot will be at 30 yards or in, because I want it to be more challenging because I've done so much.
Sure.
But I ain't there yet.
No, and what you'll find out, and truthfully what I found out is, because I'm a little older than you, as y'all reminded me so much this weekend.
Well, that was Matt, not me.
And so what you find out is, and we'll talk about this in a minute, you'll start taking more people.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to me is I just started taking more people. So I took a young man this year that killed a spike.
Mm-hmm.
Took another young man that killed his first deer. It was an antlerless deer. Neither one of those are deer I would have shot. But to be there with them and see them get the first deer, one was the second deer, but shaking all over. I remember being 18 years old, 17 years old, and clean missing a spike at 100 yards with a 25.06 with a rest because I could not control my shaking.
Yeah.
And hunting public land,
Yeah.
And when you see something like that happen, I get just as much a thrill as, like you say, if you just killed a big old mature buck.
Yeah.
And so for me, I started taking a lot of people. Now, don't get me wrong, I still want to go myself and get it done.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I was very fortunate. Monday night, I got to kill a nice buck, and I shook so bad I couldn't hardly text y'all, and so that was cool. But at the same time, I've learned that. Now you've done the same thing I noticed too. You've got one guy in particular that you kind of started and mentored in, and Desmond.
Desmond Martin.
Yeah, yep. Desmond Martin. So tell that story real quick.
So Desmond recruited me into Primerica in 2020, and the way that he was able, the way he recruited me is, I was making very little money at the time, selling guns at a gun shop in Starkville, and it wasn't their fault or nothing like that. It's just part of it. But he said, man, I can show you, how you can make some decent money and selling life insurance and doing investments, and you can stay in the woods 5-6 days a week.
Sold.
He said, do you need to go home and, talk to your wife? I
Sign
said, no,
me up.
No, I'm here. Let's do it. So, in that line of work, you have to field train people. You have to show them the ropes.
Mm-hmm.
And Desmond was my RVP, my regional vice president, and he was also my field trainer. He was the guy that showed me how to do a kitchen table appointment, how to give a presentation properly, how to do a financial needs analysis, how to ask the right questions, how to, listen and all this kind of stuff. So, for the first 4 weeks, or first 2 weeks, we were on the road together, and we were spending, hours upon hours upon hours with each other, and getting this thing going and everything from me. And he found out real quick, that I wasn't just in the interview, I didn't just like to hunt every now and then. Like I lived and breathed it.
Oh yeah.
So it kind of sparked his interest, and he's like, man, I'd like to go. And I'm like, let's do it, son. All right. So as soon as rifle season got there, I took him out to the closest public right there, and we got 2 blue Coleman lawn chairs, and I know where we're going, and I'm like, all right, you see that big pine tree? I said, we're gonna set them lawn chairs right in front of that pine tree, and we're gonna watch this bottom. And Desmond Martin, okay, we can judge book by their covers a little bit here. All right, he's black. All right, he's a 320-pound, 6'4" ex-football player black man from the hood of Laurel, Mississippi.
That's awesome.
You hear what I'm telling you?
Oh yeah.
All right, so when you think of deer hunter, that's not the first person you picture.
Sure.
All right. Well, we're working on changing that.
Yeah.
Because look, when I got him in those woods, and this was public ground, and we were 1.3 miles from the truck.
He's starting to question his decisions.
We get to the tree and he's sweating. What in the world you got me doing out here, Trent? What's going on, man? And man, we get out there and I'm like, we're gonna put them chairs right there. And before I set the chairs down on the ground to take them out, and we hear we look up and there's a darn boar hog 10 yards from us. And I got my 308 in my hand, and I look at him, and I go to hand it to him, and he looks at me. He said, "What do you want me to do?" I said, "Shoot that dang thing." And dude, look, Desmond at this time is 2020. Right now he's 30. It's 2025. He's 30. It's 5 years ago, or 4 years. He was like 33, I think, at the time. 32, 33.
Early 30s.
Early 30s. And I didn't find out till after the day that the last time Desmond had fired a deer rifle was when he was 6 years old. So I've gone through this whole deal at the truck about this is how all you're going to have to do is put the safety off, pull the trigger, and rack that joker back and put it back up there. I hand him this gun. He pulls up. I mean, we have not practiced nothing. He pulls up, throws the safety off, and he rolls this pig.
At 10 steps.
At 10 steps, I'm talking about. Like, I mean,
Ain't nothing to this.
And dude, oh man, the hood came out, cuz you hear what I'm telling you? It was awesome. It was awesome.
That'd have been good to be filming.
Oh man, well some of it's non-producible, but it would have been good, yes. And let me tell you, man. Just watching him and his reaction, that was right when we walked in, and we got a little picture with it there, and we went back, and I said, look, we're going to set back down. I said, we're going to get set. I said, because, we still see something. Well, 2 hours later, we had 2 does come up, and he smoked the back one.
Man,
First outing, killed a doe and a hog, and I literally just put a video out on YouTube 7 days ago of helping him track a deer, which is his biggest deer, which is bigger than anything I've ever shot.
Really?
Yeah, it kind of pissed me off a little bit, to be honest with you. That joker, he has shot ever since 2020, man. He's probably killed 6 or 7 bucks with crossbows, with guns. I mean, he's eat up with it, dude. He brought me a 7-point that I took to my buddy to mount 2 weeks before he killed this one. I mean, he's blowing and going with it, and he's able to help his buddies that don't hunt a lot or have never hunted, and show them like, hey, this is a funnel. This is what we need to be keying in on. This is we need to make sure that we're going in here in the right wind, and it's just like.
Well, let me ask you this. Honestly, every time he kills a deer, every time you see him do something like that, or what level of satisfaction do you get from that?
Well, Desmond lives an hour and 40 minutes from us. Mm-hmm. And when he said that he had shot the biggest deer of his life, I said, me and Cam are on the way.
There you go.
I mean, look, man, every time he shoots one, it's just, I got on to him a while back because he shot one and didn't tell me. And I was like, if you ever shoot a deer and don't text me, I'm going to come down here and try to beat you up.
Well, you have to, because, I mean, that's just a respect thing. I mean, you got to – the mentor. You got to let the mentor know.
Man, but it's so
awesome.
So cool. And he's been like – and I'm going to tell you with that whole situation was a God thing.
Yeah.
Despite the better raising I had, I felt some type of way about all people that were black, and just from a few instances that I had, and so meeting Desmond allowed me to see how ignorant that was and how wrong I was. And Desmond was the first person outside of my immediate family to hold my child.
Are you serious?
he held my son before my uncles and aunts and everybody else, and it wasn't because we were trying to do that, but it was a week after Arlen was born, Desmond drove up and stayed with us, and he got to see him, and every time he comes in, what's up, nephew?
That's awesome, man.
You know what I mean?
That's awesome. I love that.
So
love that.
I mean, that whole situation was a God thing.
Yeah, and you look back on it. I know, you have to look back on it and say, how in the world did I ever let that, I mean, it's just great to be able to admit it, to be honest with you, because some people won't.
Well, I ain't got nothing to hide. If my sponsors drop me, that's all right.
I ain't
I ain't got nothing to hide. People, that's one thing I just want to be. I want to be real.
Yeah, well, somebody needs to hear that story, though.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to hear that story. And they hear your story, they say, you know what, that's awesome. I mean, the whole thing about figuring it out
yeah,
is what people need to be. They need to understand that anybody can be wrong, and when you figure it out, that's a good thing.
yeah,
It's a good thing to figure it out. And aren't we trying to help people figure it out?
Yeah.
That's all we're trying to do is help people figure it out. Learn how to be a person of faith and live a good life, and be a good dad, be a good husband, be a good son, be a good whatever, and then be a good worker. If whatever level you're at in life and business, do the best at it, be good at it,
Mm-hmm.
and figure it out. So if you want to take somebody teach them how to hunt, or deer hunt, turkey hunt, whatever, all you're doing is helping them figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so figuring it out is a good thing. It's
Yeah.
a good thing to figure it out. So how anybody would think that's a bad deal, I have no idea. Everybody does. Everybody has ideas that eventually sometimes you realize, I got to make some adjustments there.
Right.
That's all that is.
Right.
Because, I mean, but how awesome is that, though? Now you've got a friend that's tight, but you teaching him how to hunt, watching him go through that, it's such a cool experience. And of course, that's what, we're all about that. I mean, that's what we're all about, passing it on. I don't like people who shame people for not killing a big enough deer. Do you, but help the next generation. And sometimes that generation's 50 years old.
Yeah.
We were talking about Eddie. Eddie took I want to think he was 82-year-old man turkey hunting for the first time.
Good Lord.
And the man called a turkey up, and the man killed a turkey. He tells the story a lot. And he turned around, and the old man was crying. And he said, buddy, what, Mr. So-and-so, what you crying for? He said, because I've lived 82 years on this earth, and I had no idea what I was missing until today.
Amen.
And so, but that was an 82-year-old man who learned how to turkey hunt and enjoyed it for the time he had left. But my point is, you'll never know how old that person is. It could be somebody that's 13, could be somebody that's 71.
Yeah.
It's I enjoy teaching people, taking people, mentoring people, and it seems like there's kind of a push for that these days. And even, I say even, you're a comedian, somebody that does comedy,
Right.
is passing on hunting to other people. It's just, I think it's ingrained in us to do that. Yeah. And it's one of the biggest joys of your whole life, and it changed the relationship that helped you build with him too.
100%. Because there's a good chance that I'll be canceled the next year or two. You know what I mean?
You
Like,
think
I just,
so?
oh, yeah. I got too much of Neil Ellis in me. But regardless, I'm going to be me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to try to live right and honor the good Lord. And I'm going to hunt.
That's it.
I'm going to hunt till the day they throw dirt on top of me.
Yeah.
And because I just believe that is instilled in every single one of us as a human being, is to be able to survive. And that's from day one. All right, when Adam and Eve got kicked out of the garden, all right, they had to hunt and garden. They had to hunt and grow things.
Yep.
They had to eat. You got to eat to live. So I feel like it's just when you show somebody that, and it's not for everybody, and I get that a little bit, I guess. But more than none, you see it unlocks something in people.
It
It's just
does.
like, holy cow, this feels good, you know.
I have a theory that I believe I believe it to be absolutely true. I know for me personally, and Eddie and I have talked about this, and Matt and I have talked about this. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen with a gun or any other weapon, but there's something about hunting with a bow and arrow
Yeah.
that, because I'll be out hunting with my bow, walking down a dirt road to get to my stand or whatever. They've come in there and graded it or something, or they planted pines, and you're walking across a planted pine field that's just been planted, and they've turned the dirt and looked down and be an arrowhead laying there. That actually happened to me one time. I had a bow in my hand and found an arrowhead.
Wow.
And I stood there and got chills all over me because I'm thinking somebody, who knows how long ago, hundreds of years, thousands of years, whatever, somebody was here doing the exact same thing I'm doing.
That's insane.
Hunting with a stick and string. And so I think it's in your genetics. When you draw your bow back on a deer, 75, 80-pound doe even, there's something so ingrained in your genetics about harvesting that animal. And like I said, it's the same. It's you can do it. It happens with a gun too.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I think especially with a bow and arrow, that it just reconnects you to what's inside of you.
Yeah.
And that's where you connect with that, and all of a sudden there it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, we got to do that more. We got to do that more because that's who I am on the inside of me. That's who I am. And we've talked about that. Matt, you said you really basically you agree with that.
Oh yeah, it's just for bow hunting. It's just the flight of the arrow, the margin of error is a lot larger. It's closest thing that I can think of to how they did it all those years ago.
Ancient.
And I think that everybody, no matter who you are, like I said, it's not for some people, but I think that everybody should do it at least once, just to understand. That's the basics of where our food comes from. That's
Exactly.
the most organic animal that you can eat right there. And quite frankly, that's probably the best ending and use of that animal
Yeah.
towards the end of its life,
Yes.
That's the most humane way for it to go, because if not, something else is going to get it.
Coyote or
I'm thinking rather get harvested with a bow than chased down by a pack of coyotes, or eventually that animal's going to
You said something there.
eventually it's not going to be able to eat, eventually
Yeah.
it's going to get old. So I think that's something that is a give and take relationship with the outdoors. That's why we want to make sure that we can pass it on to the next generation. That's why we want to make sure that we take care of it, because we've had pieces of property that we've leased or taken over that have had a smaller deer population, and we've killed several deer out there, but by the end of it, when it's all said and done, there's 3 times the amount of animals out there, because you're taking that 150 acres and you're making it where you can
support deer.
a lot more wildlife, not just the deer. You see otters, wood ducks, turkeys, rabbits, squirrel, like just everything just thrives as a result of you just trying to make an effort to help them out, and in result taking a few deer here and there and getting to enjoy that process. And my favorite thing of all of it is getting to cook it and eat it with your friends and your family, and just the fellowship like you have in deer camp around the whole thing. The fellowship's probably the biggest thing for me.
Me too.
It's just, men don't hug each other too much, but whoever's around me, it can be a stranger, I hug them.
Yeah.
When you're excited when you get to make that happen, So,
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's very good insight. Yeah, I mean, the whole point is you're putting meat on the table.
Yeah.
And you think about the guy that is out there, 1,000 years ago, and it's primitive. It's whether his family eats or not. And that's what I mean. It's in your genetics, the adrenaline rush, because when he draws that bow back with that flint head on the end, if whether he hits or misses that deer, whether his family eats or not.
That's right.
So you think about the pressure that came with that,
That's right.
And so I think that's where a lot of that adrenaline comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a doctor one time tell me, because we were just talking about psychology. He said, go around. He said, imagine a caveman. He's walking around a big rock, big boulder, and he comes face to face with a giant bear. He said, ask him what 2 + 2 is at that moment and see what he says. He said he ain't gonna be able to answer you.
Yeah.
He said because every part of his body adrenaline dump. Every part of his body just goes to all the different biological functions because the bear's fixing to tear his arm off and he can't have to bleed to death and all. He's not thinking at all. It's fight or flight.
Yeah.
So when hunting, we all have to admit, hunting is a big part of that. I mean, if you don't get adrenaline when you hunt, there's something wrong with you.
That's right.
When that turkey's coming in or that deer's coming in and you're watching them come in, I mean, that's why I say it's genetic. And, I mean, it's one of the coolest things in the world. And, I want other people to experience it. I can't help it. I want other people to experience it. So,
I do too.
So I know, well, you've proven that. You've passed it on to other people.
Yeah.
And you're going to pass it on to your son and all that. So it's just a cool thing. But, we've talked about a lot of different things today, and we'll finish up here. But, your main thing is that you're known for is comedy. And this hasn't been a big laugh fest because I wanted people to know more about the hunting side of you.
Yeah.
It's not just something that you take lightly.
No.
You're serious about it.
Very.
Yeah, so there ain't no put on.
No, anything that I get away 4 days from my wife and my son, I'm pretty serious about.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You're not going I've noticed that last night. You were struggling with that last night and you're headed home tonight.
Yeah.
And you're going to let it ain't going to be no delay.
No.
You're going to get home.
No, I'm gonna get there. But I've got the tank full and
ready to go,
and we're gonna get there.
Yeah, I know you are. So,
yeah.
Man, I've enjoyed having you in camp this week. I'm sure we'll get to do some more hunts together. When you meet people that you just gel with, and man, you fit right in. I hope we feel the same way to you.
Yeah,
and,
y'all okay, but yeah,
we'll pass we'll pass muster. We'll pass muster.
No, man, I really appreciate y'all reaching out to me and being generous. And I mean, y'all got a great place here, and I hope that the Lord continues to bless y'all immensely.
I appreciate it. Same with you. We're going to do everything we can to support you because we realize how hard you work, and we realize what kind of man you are. And so I'm just grateful we get to meet you finally face to face, spend a week in camp together, or I say a week, 5 or 6 days, and look forward to your success. Look forward to seeing everything that's going to happen. But we got one more chance to get you a big one, and we're going to try this evening. The weather's not really helping us that much, but we still got a chance.
Yeah.
There's still a chance.
There's still a chance. And I'm going to say this real quick before we get off here. For all you purist bow hunters and Matt, okay, talking about the Indians, they put them bows down when they got a hold of them rifles.
They
I'm
did.
just going to tell you.
They
okay?
did.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say.
Hey, I killed mine with a rifle this week.
You sure did.
Yeah.
I ain't using a recurve bow. I'll tell you that. I ain't picking up a actual stick and string. I'll take my elite bow over anything.
There you go.
That they used back in the day.
Yeah, if they'd have had what we got now, they'd have probably whooped us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there wouldn't be no white man walking around on this continent. They'd have whooped us.
Lord, no.
Because they was shooting. They wasn't nothing like what we got nowadays.
That's actually, we take a little bit off of it because, like you said, we come back to the camp, we still got Little Debbie's and tacos when we get here. We don't have to kill the deer to
exactly.
eat. And,
exactly.
But it's just that element of it all.
Yeah, I found out there's two things Trent's going to do. He's going to eat some kind of potato chip, and he's going to eat a Little Debbie when he's in camp. I found that part out.
Hey, look, bread and brownies come from God. I'm just going to tell you. Okay? So we keep them people who make them safe.
Unless you get to diabetes. Once you get to diabetes, you can't have that no more.
Yep. We're not going to talk about that, though.
Lord help us. Well, thank y'all for joining us. Thanks for being here.
Thank y'all.
And thanks for taking time to do it, man. We really appreciate it. God bless y'all, and we will see y'all next time.